My dad always bought the repair manual for just about any vehicle he would get. Motorcycles, snow blowers, chainsaws. If there was a manual, we would have it. So naturally, I also do the same thing now. One of the things that these repair manuals don't really tell you is some of the practical details on how to actually get some of these things apart. Like what order to take things apart to get to another part. They just sort of hone in on some of the specifics of repairing a specific part. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Sometimes I'm struggling to figure out how to get this stupid part out of this motorcycle in this order, and it's not necessarily clear how it's supposed to be done. So there's a lot of struggling in this video. There's nowhere in these manuals that tell you the order of operations on what parts should come off first, or second, or third, or what parts need to come off before you can get to another part. I don't know if maybe there's a different repair manual somewhere that tells you how to completely break down a bike down to the frame, but this one definitely doesn't. There. That wasn't so bad, I guess. I'm throwing a little bit of blue shop towel into the carburetor intakes just so that I can hopefully minimize crap going down into the carburetors and hopefully not into the engine. I still haven't decided whether or not I want to really break down the engine. I suppose since I'm going to have the engine out of the motorcycle, I might as well send it out to have it tuned up or gone through or dynoed or whatever the hell people do, but not sure yet. I don't 100% know what this thing does, but it's definitely crammed in a weird spot on the bike. I want to finish getting all the little subsystems off the bike so I can get it just down to the frame and engine and wheels and suspension. This fuel pump is kind of crammed in here in a funny place, and it doesn't really slide in and out very easily. All these hoses are rotten. I considered just cutting the hose like I was doing on the fuel tank before, but opted for just kind of removing the crimp and yanking the fuel pump off. Some of these hoses have sort of specific bends in them, so I don't know if I'm going to have to try and hunt down hoses with this curve and this bend in it, or if I could just get straight hoses and they'll eventually kind of go into place. There's a lot of these parts that I've found on like eBay from people that have either stripped down a bike or rebuilt a bike, so I might be able to find some things there. There's some stuff for bikes this old on websites like Revzilla. I have no clue what this part is. It's some sort of breather for the carburetors, I guess. And there's one on the other side of the bike that doesn't even seem like it goes to anything. Getting all of this wiring harness off is kind of a pain in the butt. Some of these wires are routed through so many different nooks and crannies on this bike that some of these plugs are in such weird places. I've said it a million times, but I really think putting this wiring harness back together is going to be the bane of my existence. Mostly just for the routing. This instrument cluster is kind of a pain in the butt. First bolt came out just fine. Second bolt, as soon as I put the Allen wrench into it, it just stripped out the head. So I got to try and get a better grasp on this bolt to see if I can loosen it out. I'll finish taking all the hand controls off and see if I can get some better access to it. No matter how many times I've taken a throttle assembly apart, I never seem to put this little insert in the right way the first time. Finding the right angle to get the stupid Dremel into this thing, that was a challenge. I had thought about taking the handlebars off, but for some reason at that point of the day, I figured I wanted to keep the handlebars on, so I could still move the bike around. In hindsight, I probably should have just gotten rid of the handlebars. Great. Snapped the screwdriver. Hey, look at that, it focused. Maybe if I WD-40 it? Maybe if I wiggle it a little bit? Well, I'm going to try and get the instruments off the mounting bracket. So I might as well finish taking apart all of this stuff in the front end. Why is it so hard to unroute some of these cables out of the bike? I guess this thing got bent at some point. Good thing I want a new instrument cluster. Whatever. Don't worry, I found that bolt later. It's kind of a fun challenge trying to figure out how to unroute some of these parts through the bike. Most of my knowledge for working on something like this comes from just practical experience. Making lots of mistakes, getting really frustrated, looking things up on the internet, staring at it for a long time, and pretty much just having fun. Believe me, every single step of the way on this thing, I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to be able to put it back together the right way. But that's fun too. I don't know if maybe there's a different repair manual somewhere that tells you how to completely break down a bike down to the frame, but this one definitely doesn't. I'm not really sure where... It's strange how the other part is screwed into place, and this one is just sort of press fit. I guess that's why I was confused. But also, there's not really a way to help it slide back through that little frame without taking off all the wires. Well, I guess it's just going to hang here then. Back to the Dremel. Despite how much it looks like I'm struggling, or I'm not really sure what the hell I'm doing, I'm having a ton of fun. It's definitely helping me pass the time while we're quarantined. Maybe if I heat up the aluminum parts a little bit, it will expand and loosen up onto the bolt. Nope. What you didn't see is that after I broke that screwdriver, I went over to the bench grinder and ground it flat again. If I can get the frame loose, maybe it'll come loose. I'm just going to grab a wrench and put a little more torque on the screwdriver. Bink! There it goes. Finally. One of my earliest memories of doing things mechanically was when my parents got a new washer and dryer. I asked my dad if he would let me take it apart, and for the next couple of days I sat in the garage and did just that. The intent was never to put it back together. I just had fun screwing around. Alright, I'm going to have to snip these two wires. I tried to figure out if there's an easy way to get that plug apart, but those are the last two to get the wiring harness out. Here's what the whole wiring harness looks like on a table. All of these wires go to something, and all of them are going to have to get plugged into something else later. The hard part is not trying to figure out what it goes to. The hard part's going to be trying to figure out how to route it through the frame again and where things plug into each other easily. Hopefully, by the end of today, I'll be able to get just about all the little things off of this bike. Next video, I aim to get the wheels and suspension off, and hopefully drop the engine out. Hey look, I'm starting a couple of bolts. Oh, and remember my Bursig stand? Well, I called customer service, They were super helpful, told me I was doing it wrong, and there you go. Now I have the bike up on a stand, and I can do this. Well, thanks for watching. See you next time.